Il y a eu des coups de feu, non?
C'est les Boches.
Ça t'embête pas de rester rue de Grenelle encore un peu? On est en train de changer l'avenir, c'est compliqué, je t'expliquerai.
Ok.
I've read that you started working on this film in 2015. That's right. How has the project changed over the years? I mean, with the pandemic in between and some other things, like how did it change in that time?
And also I did other film between in the same time because I was working on another film when somebody asked me, do you want to make an adaptation of this book? And when I read it, I said, okay, it's really a wonderful book, but I don't know how to adapt it. The book is really different from the film, and we spent maybe with the co-writer 5 years before the pandemic trying to find the path in all this family history, because the book from Krzysztof Boltanski is really about 1 century of Boltanski's history in a way, and it was not something that I want to do. An epic film about the family during 1 century, it was not possible, and also not the things which interest me a lot in the book itself. So, but we tried, because it's really, when you are working on a screenplay, for me, it's not really something intellectual. You have to try finding a way, seeing what's happened in the history. If you go in this direction, is it a good story or not? There is some huge and interesting narrative possibilities or not. So we did that. 2, 4, 5, 6 versions of the screenplay, totally different. And then I decided, but more in a way, really, it was really a decision from myself. We use May 68 as a start. And we tried to rebuild everything in this little period, 1 month, that everybody in France know, because it's May 68, so it's 1 month, it's even in the title, so everybody will understand that. And from this moment it was easier, because it put a lot of fiction in the family. In the book there is nothing about May 68, just 1 sentence. But it was totally artificial, and in a way it gave me the authorization to do what I want. It put a lot of fiction on my will and way of telling this story in a way.
Thank you for bringing it up. You had this one line in the book as a starting point. Did you talk to the author about your approach? Like, did he maybe request to change the title? Because now the movie and the book have the same title, but they're different things now.
It could have been a possibility for him if he didn't have liked the screenplay. So I asked him at the beginning if he want to be part of the process, because I had the things that, because it's about his family, that I need to have his authorization in a way. And directly he said to me, don't ask me that. Do what you want, because I will be more free with my family after to say, okay, it's not my history. It's not the way that it's not the story that I wrote. And he was more free to make a distance between the film and himself if he will not have liked the film in a way. And so I was really free to do what I want, and I just sent him the screenplay really at the end. And at this moment he could have the possibility to say, okay, I don't want to be part of that, you have to change the title and everything. And the moment when you read the first screenplay, he was really shocked in a way, I'm sure. His wife told me that she was listening to him saying in the living room, it's impossible, no, he can't do that, it's not my family. And then he began to laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and they say, okay, it's a different film. It was really nice because he liked the things that I did before, and it was easier for him to understand the universe, how the film will look like at the end. And after that, he was so nice and so he was really with me always. He came on the sets, he met the actors, he talked with them. He was really a huge support, and even for when the film was released in France, he was really present in the newspaper, on TV, talking about the film, and really proud about it. Even if, as you said, the film is really, really different from the book. Everything which is in the film is somewhere in the book, but not in the same place, in the same moment, and sometimes not with the same character in a way.
Tiens, ça fortifie les cheveux. Voilà.
Prise d'assaut par les CRS.
Depuis quand on se soucie des SS?
Il parle des CRS, hein, pas des SS.
J'aimerais simplement que quelqu'un me dise c'est beau, avec sincérité.
Mais c'est beau!
Quelqu'un du dehors.
Tu veux fumer? Non, je peux pas fumer. Ça, c'est chic.
C'est ça que je veux.
Ah bon?
Je me demande ce que vont dire les profs.
C'est mon étoile de shérif.
Il suffirait d'enlever
the characters, we don't really get to know their names, so like grandmother
Yeah.
or the little uncle.
Sure.
Why did you make that decision to not them give any names?
Because the Boltanskis are a little bit known in France. Christian, the painter, was really well known in the contemporary art, and a lot of people know his work and how the painting looked like in the past, what he did before. And we decided not to put a name on them to be sure that there is no connection with the reality. You can see in the film that when the grandfather is working, there is the name of the family on the paper and things like that, and somebody, you can hear someone saying Boltanski, but it was not in the front, to have a kind of license of fiction about reality. And also because it could be every family. It's a kind of mix with my family too. So it's not only the Boltanskis, it's a kind of mix between different things. And I was more comfortable with this idea. And also because in the book, something which is true, Christophe tried to tell the story of a big body, not a family with different members, but really the family as one person in a way. And when you are talking about your uncle or your grandfather, you say the relation that you have with it. And for me, the thing which is really interesting when you are making a film is trying to film the relationship between people, not just people. You always try to film something invisible in films, links between things and people. And the name was a kind of way of telling that too. The connection that they have together. My uncle, my grand-uncle, the little uncle, and because everything is seen from the little boy, so it's from him that you see the family in a way.
Yes, and it adds a layer of intimacy
Sure.
to everything.
Sure.
Because, like as you said, it's not like.
And in French, mère grand, mother, because it's not grandmother, it's mère grand. It's related to the fairy tales. Le Petit Chaperon Rouge. It's to fairy tales, and so it's. For us in French, it gives you this idea that it's a tale, it's not really reality.
I love the interior of the flat and the house
Okay.
and everything. That was built in Luxembourg.
Yes, we built everything. It was a huge studio of 500 meters square, and we rebuilt all the apartments. It was 9 rooms, and we tried to imagine something of this apartment. I didn't see the real apartment. Christophe told me if I want to visit it, and I said no. I prefer to keep in mind, as I said at the beginning of the film, the idea that I had when I read the book in a way. But it was really interesting also because we can work with color and feelings about all the rooms to make a kind of painting of everything.
Mm-hmm. Did you place anything in that set, like from you personally? Like
No.
There
is a lot of things that we stole from a famous writer, a picture of, for example, there is a lot of elements who come from Simone de Beauvoir's apartment. We saw some picture of her, and I'm really fond of one French writer called Georges Perec, and there is a lot of picture of his apartment in the 60s, so we put that in the film also, and a lot of, not a lot, but some of the furniture come from my family. And from the souvenir, the recollection that I have from my parents' house. So I feel really comfortable in this apartment because I feel a little bit like at home when I was a child. It was an old, my parent was living in an old country house in near Lausanne, and it's really a little bit like that. So it's a kind of mix of different things.
Were you tempted to stay overnight in that set?
But it was funny because there is a set and there is the place where the actor can go between shooting, but they prefer to stay on the set. And for example, grandfather Michel Blanc stay in the kitchen. The mother has his place in the bedroom, and they stayed on the set. And the thing which was nice, it was so huge, and there is so much books on it. I think 3 or 4 tons of book in the apartment. We didn't smell the painting and everything. It really smelled like a real apartment with old paper, and also there is some wood on the floor. So when you are walking, you can hear it. So it was like a real apartment in a way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How did you make sure that like no technical advancements like would get into the picture, like for example a smartphone or like a Starbucks coffee cup? Was there like a strict no smartphone rule on set?
No. They had one specific actor has always his.
You're not going to say the name.
I don't want to say the name, but he was always on his smartphone. It was a little bit sometimes annoying, but no, you are really when you're. It's more difficult when you are outside. Inside in the apartment, you look really carefully to everything. When you're outside, there is some things which are wrong. For example, in the street of Paris, there is all this. How do you say that? There is a kind of barrier everywhere, just to not to let the car to park on the sideway, and you can erase it. It's cost too much money, and also the street of Paris are so different now that you have to erase everything at the end, and it costs a lot of money. And I know that if you look closely to, and if you are Parisian, you will see something which are wrong, but it's impossible. Paris is so different now that you have to accommodate yourself with some piece of modernity in a way. But it's also a kind of a game when you are doing that, because you try to see and you see your own city totally differently, because when you are walking inside Paris, you have the feeling that the city is like a museum and everything is old and nice, but when you are looking more closely, you see how much is different. The ground is really different. There is mark for bikes and everything, and so you have to erase it. But it's like a game in a way. Yeah. Even it's really expensive, but it's a game also to have the opportunity to spend a lot of money on this kind of thing. It's in a way funny.
Yeah. This film is set in the year, as you mentioned, 1968. Let's look at a younger audience now. Look maybe at the synopsis and see, okay, it's set in that time, and maybe feel like, okay, this movie is not about us or not for us.
Right.
What would you tell to that audience? Why should they still watch that film?
Maybe you have to come to see the film to understand what we are doing today, and also that the world could be like that again, because it was a time in history where there is so much hope and will to change the society, totally, to change everything. And people were really sometimes naive, but it's also a force. It's also political to be naive sometimes. And today we are so serious because the situation is so tricky and awful everywhere, that maybe we have to remember this time that we didn't know, because I was not born in 68, but I have a kind of dream about how it could have been. And I remember that those people who was young at this time, they were people that were students in the street, they were 20, 25, 30 years old. They were so hopeful, and it was such a force to be together with a kind of idealistic way of changing the society, that I don't know why today. I know why, but we have to find the strength to be totally dreamy and optimistic about something. And maybe the film is not a clue, but you remember that it's possible in a way. And because the society in 68 was really violent too, there is war in Vietnam, there is a lot of problem in France, in Italy, in Poland, there is a kind of anti-Semitic way really important in the Communist Party, for example. But a young generation find the strength to be optimistic. And if you are watching the news, it's a kind of way today to keep you in a really dramatic way and pessimist way. And maybe you have to find somewhere else, in music from those periods, in cinema, in literature, to find another way of thinking about the world. Maybe you are too connected to the news today. We know too much about what's happening in the world, and there is no space in our head to be a little bit more, optimistic in a way. Maybe the film can tell you the fact that it was possible to be like that. So why is it not? It's still possible today, I'm sure. And maybe the film can make a connection between those two things.
Yeah, I mean, naivety would really just
just
help.
politic. Yeah, sometimes to say, okay, we can change everything. Of course, it's not possible, but we have to try. And those people in 68, they didn't reach in a way. The French society was not totally changed after that, but it make a kind of waves in Switzerland, in Zurich, Zurich Brent, then in Lausanne, in different places in Europe. It gives you some strength and hope, and maybe we have to keep that in mind.
Ceinture.
Non.
Alors pas ceinture.
Jésus-Christ dit aux apôtres, suivez-moi, marchez sur l'eau sans
T'es sûr que tu veux pas que je porte?
Non, elle dit que c'est moi qui l'accompagnerai au dessin.
You talked about films that could inspire, and I'm sure you also had several inspirations for this film. I was thinking of Jacques Tati, for example, with the grand-père and his stuff like that.
Sure, that's right.
Mon Oncle, was that maybe an inspiration or?
Not directly, but it's so powerful, Tati. Also, when you want to make comedies, it's such an example that you can never reach and overpass in a way. But you have to take inspiration from the best, even if you will never get there. Just go in this direction. So maybe people like Lubitsch or Tati, they are masters. So you are not working in the same category as them, but it's okay. I'm not sad of that. But I try to look in this direction, and maybe Tati. Of course, the 60s give you this feeling, and also France and everything, but there is a kind of naivety in Tati too. He was really filming like a child. He has this ability of making things really simple, but so complex in a way. So it's a direction. I'm not sure that I'm rich to do that, but it's a source. It's not a direct source of inspiration, but it's people like Spielberg, for example. When I never will quote Spielberg itself, but I think when I have to think of how I try to put the actors together, and if I'm really honest, and I go back in my head, I think, okay, of course it's something will belong to Close Encounter or E.T. or I don't know what, the things that I saw when I was a child. And you keep that in mind somewhere in your DNA as a filmmaker, and Tati was part of that for sure. Yeah, because I saw Mon Oncle, Traffic, or Playtime when I was a child, and of course it belonged to me also in my head. Yeah.
I mean, Spielberg, it's a lot about blocking, like how to block certain shots, and maybe subconsciously, you remember that.
Sure, and the way Spielberg, I'm sure that I take things from him. For example, for the family scene where people are talking at table, there is nothing spectacular inside. But when you are watching Jaws, the scene where the father is talking with his son and things like that, is really simple. But I'm really impressed by that. The daily life of people. If you want to know how it was to be an American in the 70s, just watch films from Spielberg. It's quite a documentary. It's so precise and accurate about family relationship. So maybe in the film, all the talking at table when they are talking in the dinner together, I'm sure that something comes from Spielberg. I don't know exactly what, but it's a source of inspiration, not directly, but in my head, I'm sure of that.
The last time you went back in time over decades was for the Grand Ondes. That's right. 12 years ago. Yeah. What did you learn on that movie that you could use for this one?
Maybe don't try to direct actors in the same way as if they were playing in 2050, 2025. Cronenberg says something really right about making a film in history. He said that you really have to film people as they are aliens, because every relationship was different in the past. So don't try to copy and paste something that you think is right in 2055. Try to find a solution for 68, because all the relations are different. Even the way you are saying hello to someone in the street or going to the bakery to buy a baguette or something like that, it was different in 68. We didn't speak in the same way. We didn't act in the same way. So I tried, maybe I was more connect to reality when I did Les Grandes Ondes, and I was totally free of inventing something else in La Cache, because I thought to myself, it's another planet. 68 is not Paris, it's another planet, and they are aliens. So find a solution for them now, not for people watching the film in 2055. 25.
C'est très bien d'avoir de l'imagination. Ça permet d'en donner un peu à la vie qui parfois en manque un peu.